Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good so far. Let's make a deep dive here. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into the Seattle Seahawks situation. And we're going to do it with the present in mind. What is going on now? Where do we stand now? Before we start talking about free agents, contracts, re signings, restructures, cuts, draft picks, and all these things that are going to happen over the course of this offseason before we dig into the Geno Smith question, the Poona Ford question, the, who else? Travis Homer question, or whoever else. Before we dig into specific players, let's see where we stand, because where we stand will inform what we are going to be able to do. So I pulled up the Team Spotrac page. Let's take a look at what we got. So as you can see, the Seattle Seahawks are currently sitting on about $38.7 million in cap space. $38.7 million. They have $184.4 million earmarked in spending right now with the current contracts they have. You can see that almost all of that comes from their active contracts. They do have some dead cap, but a lot less than last year, less than $6 million. The rollover from 2022 is basically insignificant. It's 1.6. So we cleaned out our system from last year. Last year we had all the dead Wilson money. We had the dead Wagner money. We had a little bit of other dead money. I think we had some Dunlap dead money, Kerry Hyder dead money. It's all been flushed. So we are currently sitting on about $38.7 million in cap. That is with 44 players under contract. I believe this includes the future reserves contracts we signed the other day. So that is currently where we stand as a team. And as you can see, this Seahawks team, they don't have any monster cap hits right now. Our biggest cap hit is less than $19 million. I don't know how many other teams can say that, but of the teams that can say that, I'm guessing most of them did not make the playoffs, unless they have a superstar quarterback on a rookie deal, maybe. That's always something that happens, but 18.11 million is our biggest cap hit. Now, the reason why we don't have a ton of cap space is we have a lot of cap hits in this area. We don't have any cap hits in the 30 to 50 million area, which are typically quarterbacks and superstar pass rushers. Or, well, pass rushers are getting there. But while we don't have any of that, and we don't even have the 20 to $30 million cap hits, we've got a lot of stuff at the third level. Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs are both counting about 18.1 against the cap. Lockett's counting almost 17. Metcalf's counting almost 14. Uchenna's counting almost 13. Shelby Harris is counting more than 12. Gabe Jackson is counting more than 11. It adds up. These cap hits, which individually are not a big problem, like Jamal Adams, 8.1% is fine. I mean, it's not fine when he's only going to play 15 snaps in a year. Of course, that's different. I think you guys understand what I mean when I say that. But, yeah, it adds up. And because of that, we're not swimming in cap space. We have a good amount of cap space. Now, the next thing that needs to be understood as you scroll through this list is the money that needs to be earmarked for the draft, because you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to have to pay your draft picks, because rookie contracts are preordained. Now, we might trade picks, and that would change things. But as of right now, the Seahawks have to earmark a little more than $13 million for their draft picks. Now, you may notice that Spotrac currently has it at about $9 million. The reason why is because Spotrac assumes that some of those draft picks will not make the team, and therefore we'll never see any of that money against the cap. Like, if we draft somebody in the 6th round, are they going to make the team? It's tight, right? Like, especially if you draft somebody like a wide receiver, they could easily wash out on a depth chart full of semi-interesting receivers like Cade Johnson, like Connor Weddington, like Aesop Winston. Even Penny Hart might still be left over. So they're assuming that some of your draft picks do not make the actual roster. So that's why they only have $9 million. If you look at other sites, like Field Goals did an article a couple days ago, that said it was closer to 13 net. So we'll see exactly how much money it ends up being. But worst case scenario, you're looking at about 13.3 million. And assuming that a couple guys don't make the team, you're looking at about 9 million. So you take away the 9 million from this number, you arrive at just under 30 million. Now, if you really want to play it safe, you can call it 26 million or so. Either way, I think it's roughly all the same. Now, you may notice that you've got 44 active players. Let's say you sign all of your draft picks. That gets you up to 53. In the NFL, you have a 53-man roster. Now, you of course have a practice squad. You have a 90-man roster during the offseason. But the point that I'm trying to get at here is that you've actually already filled out the roster, so don't worry so much about not being able to fill out the team. On a basic level, the team should be able to fill out. Now, will they be able to fill out with good players? That's the interesting question, because if you look at a lot of the guys on this team, Vi Jones, Jalen McKenzie, Chris Steele, even a guy like Derek Young is not guaranteed anything. Chris Garrett, Isaiah Dunn. A lot of these guys will probably not be on the active roster when the season starts because they're just not good enough. They'll be lucky to make the practice squad. I mean, I can tell you right now, guys like Chris Steele, Jalen McKenzie, Aesop Winston, Connor Weddington, Vi Jones, Gerard Hewitt, maybe even Cade Johnson, Greg Island. There are probably at least 10 guys on this list, maybe 12, who will probably fall off this list, and their salary falls off, but so does their roster spot, and then you need to fill the roster spot probably with somebody who's better. Like if you want to go out and get a Deron Payne, if you want to go out and get even a Zach Pascal, it's going to cost extra money. So to make a long story short, accounting for the draft, the Seattle Seahawks are going to have anywhere from 26 to $30 million in space to handle their free agency period, to basically turn this list of practice squad tier players into viable NFL players. It can be done. It's going to require some shuffling. It's going to require some creativity. It's going to require, you have to do the right thing. You're going to have to move money around. You're going to have to restructure. You're going to have to show your abilities as a general manager. And it's not going to be easy, but it is absolutely doable. So that is where we are starting from going into this offseason. We have about, knowing that we're going to have all that money going to rookies, anywhere from 26 to 30 million. And you can keep going through this page, by the way. There's more interesting information. You can see exactly where the dead money's coming from. It's Dunlap and Carson, and then basically a bunch of insignificant amounts like Bo Melton, which, whatever. I mean, you know, we're talking about 0.04% of the cap. Nobody cares about that. So it's basically all coming from Dunlap and Carson, which makes sense. And it reminds you that things are pretty clean. Things are pretty clean for this season, man. We really don't have a lot of dead money. We've got the ability to work with almost all of the cap space we're supposed to have. So that is exciting, but there's going to have to be a little maneuvering in this area, I think, if you want to free up enough money to really go for it. And from what I heard from Carroll in his post-game press conference, sounds like he wants to go for it. All right, so that's where we stand right now, just so everybody's familiar with the terms. See you guys later. Go Hawks.